Really, really?
Now we are live.
Are we live? Okay.
It asked me 3 times if I really wanted to go live, so I guess there's a lot
Really,
of
really?
anticipation about this conversation.
There's a lot of anticipation. Was the AI telling it that we're discussing some serious topics about our height? A lot of
No.
anticipation. Was the AI telling it that we're discussing some serious topics about our height?
Oh, no.
So what do we got? Like a replay going on there?
Do you have it up on YouTube?
Let me try something. Like a replay? I know what it is. Okay, my bad. I'll keep talking.
Yeah, we're good now.
Okay, that's what I did. I'm sorry.
Bill, can you believe it's been a month since we went to Le Conte?
Yeah, actually, I can believe it. And I'll tell you why. It's warm outside.
Yes.
And I'm not walking on ice.
Right.
Like there's no fear. They got hit again 2 weeks after we were there.
Are you serious?
I want to say like 4 inches of snow, 5, 6. I don't remember. Different elevation with Le Conte. You're going to get more or less. I think there at the cabins, they got 8 inches. So the situation we were in, for the best I can tell, you're looking at being covered with ice up there, having to use spikes. We know what spikes are now,
right?
For, I would say, well into April, middle of April. Carol and I, when we were dating, I've told you the story before, when we were dating, our first date, I didn't take her to the movies. I didn't take her bowling. We went to the Cherry House Skyway, followed it over into Robbins, North Carolina, picked up the Blue Ridge Parkway somewhere, landed in Cherokee. I can't remember exactly how it was, but in Cherokee, we got a 441. And a blizzard hit in April, our first date. It was actually very romantic. She's loving it. She loves snow because she's from Florida. She's very young and at the time. And of course, it's a blizzard. And the truck, I'm in a Blazer, and it is sliding everywhere, but she's not noticing. And I am freaking out because 441, it is just curvy and mountain, beautiful, but it's night. It's not even daytime. All I can see is practically a whiteout. And we get into Gatlinburg finally, thank God, to eat there where we ate at Calhoun's, great wings. And we stopped. Great food. Probably the best restaurant, in my opinion, in Gatlinburg. That's just my opinion. Maybe that's a little nostalgia playing into it. And it was only flurrying in Gatlinburg, but it's untelling how much snow they got on the Gap, 441, in April. So I would say that maybe into May on Mount Le Conte, you're walking on an ice rink.
Well, speaking of slipping and sliding, and not to jump ahead to the end, but you released your video and I've released mine, and
lots of
fun. Doing pretty well. We can maybe talk later on about some YouTube algorithm stuff. Yours should be doing better than it is, but you started that out with footage of you having a little bit of a spill.
Man. So I only showed a part of what happened, and the hardest part was keeping it a secret from you that I had the footage. Okay. Because if that got out and could be used publicly by anybody, you saw the whole thing, right?
Yeah, I saw the whole thing.
Like the part that I didn't put in the video, right?
I don't know. We won't be sharing those in the live stream today.
So no, because we called her an angel. This God's honest truth.
She was an angel.
So when you're watching, I'm actually recording as I'm walking a ledge. Didn't slip on the ice, didn't fall on the ice. Oh no, that would be too simple and too explainable. And I've always made fun of YouTubers that they're filming and fall. I don't mean make fun of, that's the wrong word, but I've always rolled my eyes and been like, you klutz, what's wrong with you? You got to be careful. You got to be safe.
Yeah.
You had mentioned a little bit of this in the video. By the time we got about 400 feet from the top, not 400 feet on the trail, but like if we
elevation.
If we could spider monkey all the way up to the top, which a lot of people do, I found out, we're not far at all. And the ice got so bad, we have to turn around, but I'm exhausted. You're exhausted by that point.
Yeah.
Le Conte is a good one. It's a good one, as we used to say here in the South. It's nuts. And I wasn't picking up my feet and just fell flat on my face. I was so tired that in the center frame of the video, I'm actually the angel that we refer to, the nice young lady who was so thoughtful and considerate. She's actually in the video, in the center of the video as I'm walking, like I'm filming her, which is weird. And I try my best to avoid putting people in the video. It ruins the shot most of the time, and people don't like a camera in their face and then to show up on a YouTube video. but you can see her. She's not right there. She's in the distance, but I never would have somebody on the trail in center frame. I was tired and wasn't paying attention to what I was even recording. So it's worse than just the fall. I was so tired, I didn't notice that there was somebody in the frame of the camera.
Oh, wow.
And then I fell. And it is the camera doesn't do it justice as far as the volume, because the way the direction that the camera's facing, the phone does a great job at, if it's behind you, it doesn't pick it up, it picks up what's in front of you. But it was a thud. I bounced, bam. I mean, it was just like a Three Stooges kind of act right there, hard rock. And this precious young lady, are you okay? And Toby, she ran.
Yeah.
And she was a good, I don't know, 100 meters from where I was at, about 100 meters. Yes, I use the metric system.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Well, it is called Le Conte, so we have to give some homage to the
It is called Le Conte. She sprints over like the ledge is nothing. She abandoned all caution for herself.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell that she is a mountaineer, by the way, which we haven't really talked much about that. We were just so enchanted by her skills and her compassion.
Yeah.
And her ability to scoot up and down the mountain like it was nothing.
She offered to give you bandages. She offered to give you her trekking poles. She offered to carry you 6,000 feet off the mountain.
And I regretted not taking her up on that.
Yeah.
We were recovered. By the time we got to the car, we were recovered as far as the muscle failure that both of us started getting into by the top. And our calves, that was the
I don't know if my calves have recovered yet.
I took a week off jogging, and I was happy to be back pounding the pavement because it would stretch out my calves and whatnot. Yeah. And I added another 10 minutes to my flex in the morning to get everything going. But it was murderous. And again, we took our time. We were in YouTube mode, so we're filming everything. We're recording everything. Yeah. I think that was about 40% of our time up the mountain was YouTube. And 20%.
So much to see. I mean, I had no idea. So you can see Le Conte from Gatlinburg, from Pigeon Forge driving in. I mean, it's Gatlinburg Mountain, right? But up there, especially on the trail we chose, the Alum Cave Trail.
Yeah.
Every corner, there's a magical experience. I mean, if we're going to capture that on camera and share that with others, it's going to take us a while. You don't want to pass by that.
And to me, one of the things that YouTube and making videos has done for me and why I enjoy it it's not the views anymore.
Right.
And we talked about this while we were hiking. It slows you down. Yes. You start enjoying every single, because you're trying to capture, it doesn't start that way. It starts where you're learning and you're trying to get something for the clicks and something impressive to show other people. You're trying to build your channel. But at this point, for myself, it's trying to find the story wherever you're at. Like where's the story at? In Le Conte, Alum Cave Trail, you said it already, and I'm just repeating what you've already said. Every corner, it's enchanting. Mm-hmm. It's like you're in this mysterious. If you've been to the Smokies a million times and you've never got out of the car and hiked one of those trails, you've not been to the Smokies. And for me to say that's a big deal because I pride myself in being the expert because I study this stuff. I mean, that I spend a lot of time studying the facts about these places, but you don't know it till you've been there.
Well, especially in the winter. And that's not the most popular place for hiking, even though we were there on a Tuesday in February.
It's the most popular trail for Le Conte, right?
We probably saw 40 people over the course of the day, which
you don't think it was more than 4? I'm just asking. I was thinking it's closer
60.
to 100.
I mean, it was maybe up to 100
because the parking lot was full. That's why I'm thinking. But that doesn't necessarily mean there was 100. But in my mind, I was like, okay, I want to say we had like 45, 50 cars, and throughout the day they're going to come back and there's going to be some. So I've got my. It doesn't matter, but.
But you think about some of the experiences that people pay money for. Rock City. I love Rock City. I had a season pass one year and I went all 4 seasons, right?
Really?
Yeah. It was fun. It's local. But mean, you're not going to see things at Rock City except for 7 States that you would see on that trail that we saw, especially when you're walking by the creek. Some of those bridges.
I can't let you do that. It's misinformation, Toby. You cannot see 7 states. People hate it.
You can see a map where there are 7 states on the map.
Yeah, there are. Okay, all right, I get you. No, I hear exactly what you're saying, and I do love Rock City. It's a local treasure.
All those places, but we have places even around here that people don't go to that are way better. But especially this trail. Somebody has joined us. 7 states.
7 states. I don't have the chat up. There it is. Is the chat up here? Comments.
The chat is up here. I'll manage.
There it is. Okay, I see you.
Yeah, I just want to be able to for just a second. Since I brought it up, it's they just got through doing Shamrock City recently, which is a nice spring event. Bagpipes, even though we can talk about it. Bagpipes are Irish or Scottish, but that's not this conversation. But it's a neat place, and you can. Their big marketing shtick is you see 7 states, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was their. They don't make that exact claim anymore. I forget how they word it.
Yeah.
They don't defend it. They admit it's tongue in cheek now because the earth is not flat and there's curvature involved. And so you're not going to see that alone is going to prevent you from seeing 7 states. The elevation of Lookout Mountain is not that high.
Well, what is the elevation of Lookout Mountain?
Off the top of my mountain, we'd have to Google it. Top of my mountain. Off the top of my mind, I can't. I do want to try something real quick. Toby, if you don't mind, I don't know. Can you still see me?
Yes.
Remember we talked about being able to share a file as far as where we were at? I might have unintentionally discovered how to do that.
2,392 feet.
Yeah, which isn't.
So Le Conte, we were at 65.
Yeah.
93 if we had summited, which we didn't, but we got really close. So we were 3 times higher. How many states did we see there?
I'm sure that you wouldn't be able to see. You would be able to see in North Carolina, maybe Virginia, but I doubt it. But they don't make a claim that way, though. You know what I'm saying? I've about got this licked here. I don't know if I wouldn't be able to. Thank you for your patience, Toby. What I'm trying to do is just get where we were at. And I'm going to take a screenshot of it. And I think I can actually put that in here in the presentation. If you're interested in doing that, that's up to you. But we had talked about that beforehand. And, we can kind of talk about where we got to. And so I'm almost complete this little side hustle here.
While you're doing that, I do want to just thank everyone who did watch the Le Conte video.
Yeah.
Glad you enjoyed it. If you haven't checked Bill's out, it is a different perspective of the same hike. So that's definitely worth checking out. I enjoy, Bill, when you and I do these together.
I do too, man.
We haven't done in a while. You've moved back to Chattanooga area, and now we have opportunities to do things around here again. But even some of the stuff in West Virginia or Virginia, you get to experience the same adventure from 2 different lenses, 2 different artistic styles, 2 different stories. I think our videos actually tell the same story, or maybe 2 stories, but at least the same story in 2 very different ways.
It's funny because I watched your video and I had that in mind when watching your video, and because we talked about this just before the show, we didn't really coordinate how we were going to make the videos. Like, you're going to cover this, and we didn't worry about it. We just did it.
Right.
I love that. I worried that I didn't want to duplicate stuff, but then I thought even if it's duplicative, it's like. It's not going to be the exact same because you're still going to have a different perspective about what we're talking about, a different take on it. And I love that. I think that's great. And I enjoyed collaborating with you I always enjoy hiking with you. Some of my favorite hikes to Seneca Rocks in West Virginia. Toby, that was a blast.
Yeah, those are great.
That was a different kind of hike. We did 2 major hikes that day. I still think Humpback Rocks is one of the hardest hikes in the world. I still do. I don't know why, but it gets me every time. I'm going to try something real quick.
All right, try away.
I hope this is it.
Thank you for watching both videos, by the way. I appreciate you joining the live stream. We don't get as much traffic on the live streams on this channel as Bill does, but what I do enjoy doing is taking the key moments of these conversations and repurposing them for a later conversation, edit type thing. So you'll probably see some key moments from this in the future. In the meantime, we're going to have a continued great conversation tonight. Just to look back on Le Conte. Bill, if you can't figure out the map issues, that's okay.
I'm about got it, Toby. Don't give up on me yet. I'm not giving up on you yet. I know it's killing you, but here's the why that showing this, it really helps to make for people to understand the difficulty of it for novice. You and I don't claim to be experts. Neither of us do.
No.
By any stretch of the imagination. What's that?
Or we would have brought spikes.
We would have had spikes on. We definitely would have had spikes. We don't claim to be experts, but from a novice, just a novice standpoint, it was an intimidating hike from start. Yep. Do you agree? I mean, or am I over?
Well, the first 2 miles I wouldn't classify that way.
No. I'm talking about the last from what's that point? Inspiration Point on.
Yes, so
that's when it got
hike.
crazy.
Inspiration Point would be a hike in and of itself, and I would feel really comfortable, as I said in my video, taking a group to Inspiration Point. If that's as far as you made it, that would be an incredible day. What is that, about 2.5 miles, maybe? It wasn't quite the halfway point.
But I'm telling you that yes, and I agree that you could just do that, and it'd be worth your time. Yep. But I'm telling you, in the right conditions, in other words, normal conditions, from May till November.
Okay.
That if you're not YouTubing, that's a 3-hour hike. 4.
Mm-hmm.
You're worn out, but you're playing around at the top when you get there. I'm telling you, I think what we did by extending our time up there, because when we're filming, I keep saying filming, but when we're recording, you're running here and there, and you're doing this.
Are you coming the same ground twice?
Yeah, and you're wearing yourself out even more to where instead of it being 5.5 miles or 6 or whatever it was, the signage there is weird.
Yeah,
but you're covering that ground twice, and then of course the ice. The ice, first of all, it's intimidating. It's terrifying.
Let's talk about the icicles at Alum Cave.
The icicles at Alum Cave. Okay.
The sun was out on that part of the mountain.
Yes.
There was these giant icicles.
Yes.
Hanging from the top of Alum Cave, which isn't an actual cave. It's a concave part of the mountain, but it's called Alum Cave. So who are we to argue? When we came back, especially, those were crashing, and these are giant 2 feet, 3 feet icicles.
Yeah.
And exploding like hand grenades.
Sure.
On the trail, no way to get around them. The younger couple in front of us, a guy and a gal, they did ready, set, go, and ran.
Did they really?
Yeah. You were coming around the corner, so you didn't get to see that piece of the entertainment. I think we took a little bit more measured approach. I'm not sure which was best, but I thought if there was any time that day we were going to die, it was going to be there.
Yeah. But again, it didn't freak me out. I think, and maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's that I'm crazy. I don't know. I didn't feel like we had anything to worry about.
No, I never really felt that danger.
There was a moment on the ice when you're facing Le Conte. I don't know how to explain it. I wish I could get the map up. Obviously, I can't. Because it's right there. That's so sad. But I got it on my screen, but I can't get it on the screen. I don't know. It's almost like it's another character that has to be added or something. I don't know. But when
Indiana Jones icicle, yes,
it just felt weird. You're facing Mount Le Conte. It's my background here. That's where we were, and you're facing Le Conte.
Oh, this is my background too. That was what we got to see at the beginning.
Right. What that is that's going, you're making that turn. I forget the name of that creek because there's like 4 different creeks there. That wasn't even the same creek. I didn't either. I was like, and that part of the video was actually for you to go, hey, there's like several creeks here. It's not just one.
I may go back and just do the creek someday.
You could do that. I am obsessed with playing around the top up there because every one of those peaks, there's 4 major peaks and a few minor peaks that aren't listed, aren't named. they're just, every one of those offers something different, with views to Mount Geo, sorry, Appalachia, whatever.
Oh my!
But see, what's that?
Oh my!
Yeah, we'll get it
We're
started.
getting into it now.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure, why not? I think that would be awesome. The waterworks there, it's what I call it. The waterworks are phenomenal. But Toby, Mount Geo, the hike to Mount Geo, I don't know how to convince you that should be a hike for next month, and that you should go with me. We stay at the Park Vista like we did last time. We'll eat some chicken wings at Calhoun's afterwards, celebrating. I mean, and I think you can do it without an overnight thing, or we could do it with, because by that point the weather's good. You know, it's not. I just don't like sleeping outside if I don't have to, and if I do sleep outside, I want to be ultra comfortable, and I don't want to hike the gear in. It's just that simple, you know. But I'm willing to if it's worth it. I can't get enough information about Mount Geo to determine whether an overnight trip is worth it. That's just the truth. I would love to connect with somebody, maybe somebody's watching this or whatever, and they've hiked Geo and they can say, yeah, you need to do this and this. But the waterworks that I'm seeing on other videos, Toby, you are the waterworks man. Like, that is your, well, this, whereas the water there right off 441 going on Allen Cave up the mountain, some of it looks fishable, but a lot of it wasn't. A lot of it was kind of shallow, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The river, I say river, it's a creek, I guess, whatever the classification there is, because I think the lines are blurry on what's a river and what's a creek, you know. But man, you're talking about, this is like some knee-deep, waist-deep stuff halfway up the mountain. Cascades and all this other stuff. See, right now, the big waterfall going up Le Conte is closed. That trail is closed, being redone. Is
that Rainbow Falls?
I think so. And you can walk, you can walk behind it. Like, it's a waterfall that you can walk behind. Wow. It's a big deal. Very, very popular. It's closed right now, because that was going to be the trail, because I was thinking Toby loves waterworks. Yeah. And then when I clicked on it to check the trails, that one was closed. It may be open this summer. But Geo, the waterworks look really, really interesting. Like, even for me, and you cover that's your thing. I cover it, but not like you do. You spend a lot of time there. But this is the kind of thing that I need to grab the GoPro I keep meaning to buy for this. And you take a telescopic fishing rod with you. You know, it's that kind of a, I don't know if you saw this in the video that I made about Le Conte. I just kind of gloss over the fact that I don't want to make up the percentage here. I think it's 80% of the streams in the Smoky Mountains are fishable. Is that what it is?
I have no idea.
Native brook trout, rainbow brown. I mean, my goodness, you're talking about a feast.
Did they stock it?
I don't exactly know how that part works. I know that, like, Little River Road, that's stocked. There's a trout, a trout farm or whatever, where they put trout in there all the time. So those easily accessed creeks and stuff. But you're talking about this creek that I'm talking about is not easily accessed. I mean, you have to be hiking to Geo. That's what I understand. That's what the map looks like to me anyway. And so I'm like, okay, that's really, really interesting to me, you know.
So, Bill, when we got to Allen Cave, there was another sign, and I can't remember how many miles it said we had left to Mount Le Conte, and that's all it said is Mount Le Conte. We're on the mountain the whole time, so that's an interesting sign to start with. But was it 2.5?
2.5.
2.5 more.
2.5 more.
And the sign at the trailhead said 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate especially the vintage nature of the signs, and they're sweet.
But I think I've solved that riddle, that because we found out it's not 5. It's more like 5.5, closer to 6.
Yeah, right.
It depends on what you're calling Mount Le Conte.
Yeah.
The whole thing is Le Conte. The whole thing.
The Mount Le Conte, 0.1 miles. Right
behind me, the picture of Le Conte there. We are on a part of the trail that loops around, and then you start ascending actual Le Conte. So we're like on a, what is it called? A spur in this picture right here. Maybe it's called a spur in this. I'm not sure. So somebody can correct me later. But about right around where we were at would have been at the 5-mile mark, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct by your reckoning? If I'm not, by my reckoning, that would have been 5 miles.
Something like that.
If not a few hundred more yards, and we'd have been at 5 miles. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, I turned off my watch at 5 miles because I had already run the battery out, and that was about as far as I went.
So 5 miles, if your destination is Clifftop, which is the most scenic of the 4 peaks of Le Conte, and that's where the ranger guy, the volunteer rescue guy, nice guy, great guy. That's where they point people towards, because that's where the views are. Because High Top or Mount Le Conte, the map, that's Mount Le Conte. But I think cliff tops, like if you're there, you have officially arrived at Mount Le Conte, or if you're close, that area would be Mount Le Conte. Then I found this out. I hope an expert gets on here and just, but actually, you know what I'm saying? Like, I hope we get but actually on this, because I want to learn. The information is so blurry. The national park has this monopoly on history to where things, and I'm not being conspiratorial, they're just cleaning house when something happens. They used to have a trail. Now, do you remember can't remember what they're called, but in the rock, the holes, the
two little holes, right?
Yeah, and those rocks.
Eye of the needle or something.
Eye of the camel, Sauron's eye. I don't know.
Yeah,
but Lord, it was really cool, and I don't know which one was the actual eye. There were 2 of them. So it's like
there were 2 of them, and there was some kind of osprey or gopher bird or something.
Yeah, it's a falcon, like it's a falcon thing, right?
Peregrine falcon.
Yeah. And you're reading this stuff, and you're like, okay, what's the real reason? And you start digging a little bit of what that used to be the trail. That was I bet it would be awesome. First of all, and it's not as narrow as it looks. No. It's actually very wide.
Sure.
There's some scrambling, but if you notice, it was kind of level. Once you were on top of that ridge line, it was kind of level. And it went straight. The way it worked is you took that trail to not quite to where we stopped, but close. Where I'm at, where you and I are at in the picture behind me, you would have skipped that.
And here's the thing, we would have been in the full sun, so we wouldn't have had any of the ice issues we have.
Exactly. So on that trail, which starts in the same place that we were, I'm assuming that was probably 5 miles. But that trail closed a few years ago. The old timers, the experts, the ones that wear the trails out, they love, they're there all the time. They know everything. They are not happy about that trail being closed, and their voices have been silenced. Toby, I don't know. But
is it? I'm sure it's against the law to do that trail. There's got to be some kind of regulation, right?
Okay, so check this out. I guess that's another blurry area.
Yeah,
where it's out west, the national parks out west. There are specific rules everywhere, but things get weird in the Smokies, and everybody talks about Shenandoah National Park. Things are kind of cut and dry. If you do this happens. And here in the deep South and in the Southern Appalachians, we just have a different personality. Things take. I would rather the national park trust the individual to make decisions for themselves. That's just me in my old-fashioned way. But I'm assuming when we were at Inspirational Point, do you remember there was a trail that you could step on? And it went straight down. You stepped towards it, and it kind of went straight down. And do you remember that at all?
Tell me a little more.
Well, it was hairy. Okay, like when you stepped over, it was real bushy and just lots of cover. But there was a trail there. That's an old trail. That's an old mainstay trail that walked over to that. It's at Inspiration Point, and from there you can take it straight over to the.
Yeah, because there were some young people actually down in doing. I don't know what they were doing. What young people do on
what young people do. Whatever that is.
Yes, I do remember that.
The trail may not be closed, like do not enter. It's just not advertised, and it's not on a map. That's how they do it, and they let it grow, and they don't maintain it, and the volunteers don't go there, and it just slowly fades away. Up in Lost Creek, where I'm dying. That's another place I want to take you. Is up there in. Not the Lost Creek that you went to.
Not around here.
That's a great video, by the way. I would check that if you're watching. That Lost Creek video you made is awesome. So, but anyway, this is Lost Creek over in Reliance in Polk County, Tennessee. There were trails up there and driving roads, and the National Forest there, Cherokee National Forest, did the same thing. They just started not maintaining them and just let them go slowly to where it was starting to get dangerous to drive on them, and then they put a gate up. After most of the public had kind of given up on the road, it's old dirt roads, and they do the same thing with trails. Of course, and I'm not trying to be controversial on your channel. Please forgive me, but I have a real big problem with that because I want to look at the national parks and I want to say, hey, it's not yours, it's ours, and let us make those decisions. Because they talk about the safety of the public, and I'm like, I think we should, when it comes to forest fires and things like that, okay. If you say it's a no fire area, we need to listen to the National Forest on that one, because I don't want to ever see the Smokies burn like they did a few years ago. But that also means they need to investigate arson closer. That's a whole other situation. But I want to be able to have the freedom to, what they call beating the bush there, where you just go across, without a trail. You just go for it, whichever direction you want to. Am I crazy? Is that just me, or do you have any of those sentiments?
I think there's some merit to that. I guess the downside is if you do need to use public resources for rescue purposes, then you probably will be stuck with the bill if you survive. Right? Is that fair enough?
Right. Yes. It's not. Nobody should pick up the bill if the fall that I had. Let's say that turns out differently.
Yeah.
It's not the National Park's fault that I'm a fool and I fell and I wasn't paying attention. Well, it's my fault. And there's a lesson with that stuff. There's a lesson, though. Like one of the things we talked about two things. I learned two lessons. The other one we're not talking about on camera. But that was a big lesson for me, that you are never too coordinated to try to walk on a ledge while you're recording. That's dumb. And so that triggered in me to go, don't do that anymore. Yeah. Don't do that again. Don't try to do that again. Make sure you're always aware of your surroundings. So that brings up something that I do want to ask you. On your last video, you had said something at the end that Toby, it just made me mad.
Okay.
It hurt me to my core, Toby. Right. I've had to spend hours don't let me mourn. I'm mourning. I had to spend hours in seeking the Lord for peace on the matter. But you had said that you learned two lessons, that you abandon
one of my core tenets.
So tell us more about that. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Probably 3 years ago, I made a hiking safety video, and one of my main points was know your trail and know yourself.
Okay.
We had a great time. And I don't think, I'm a little bit of a planner, but I've let go of a lot of that in the last few years.
Sure. Plans and I've learned to plan more.
And you've learned to plan more.
Yeah, so that's how that works. Yeah.
But really understanding what you're up against, whether it's conditions or the difficulty of the trail. And, I told you a couple of years ago, I tried a grand experiment of taking some adults hiking every weekend. And
that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it was a disaster.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it did not go well. And you could say it's going to be a medium trail or a hard trail.
Okay.
You're a half mile in and people are complaining about their knee replacements already. The wonderful thing about hiking is there's something available for all fitness levels, but you got to know your trail. You got to know yourself, and you can't necessarily trust open source things like All Trails, which I contribute to as well. But some people will take any trail and say it's a 5 out of 5. Well, if all trails are 5 out of 5s, then no trails are. So the same thing goes with conditions.
That's good.
You have to look at kind of the aggregate. Is this really easy, or is this going to have some challenge involved? Do I walk or run on a regular basis, or do I live a sedentary lifestyle? And in our case, violating a core tenet is probably really strong language.
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
Not anticipate, not for lack of enthusiasm, but the need for that particular piece of equipment to.
Okay, but I don't know. But I knew, and maybe you saw this or maybe you didn't, because I knew every checkpoint as you go through. Like,
oh yeah.
We were off a little bit on how close we were a few times. Okay. All right. That happens. We missed it on the ice. I think that's fair, though. Like, if you look through YouTube, you don't see a lot. I didn't. I saw them hiking through the snow a few times.
Right.
Like through the woods.
Yeah.
It's real pretty. And then and then all of a sudden these sunsets and these sunrises on Mount Le Conte with snow around them. Yeah. I didn't see an ice rink that you could play hockey on the whole time. I am telling you, that was the far. So I don't know that was, and I don't, but it wasn't a rare phenomenon. I guess you have to know more, but I don't know how long do you spend studying a trail?
Here's the deal. It did not diminish the experience for me.
If anything, every time I would watch the video, and you and I are just gripping. I am gripping that wire. We talked about my hands were sore from gripping. It was terrifying. And so every time that I can see that image in my head, I go, oh my gosh. As scary as it was, it's like, this is awesome. There's that moment of going, we're doing this. This is actually, because we had just talked to
this right here.
What's that? Yes, that's it. That is, folks, let me tell you, if you're watching this on the replay or right now, that is a solid sheet of ice. And honestly, that's not the best video shot or picture, because there are other ones where you can see. That's not snow. There were a few times water would be melting and running under the ice, which wasn't as intimidating, because that kind of ice has a surface. It's rough.
Right. It's kind of crunching under your feet, which makes you feel nice and cozy.
There were times the Stromboli or whatever it's called at the ice rink should have come out and helped us ice skate it. Like, just throw the ice skates on and go for it.
Yeah.
That I don't know that you could. That was so foreign to me. I was not expecting that. I don't, and I feel crazy because there's people that hike the Smokies all the time, and they're like, "You should have known that." Maybe so. Nobody has commented on my video and said that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Nobody has piped in and went, "You're a dummy. You should."
I hope they do. I hope they do.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we don't want to nerd out, or maybe we can on YouTube, but
sure.
Your video, right, as of this date, is underperformed your typical. Mine's overperformed slightly.
I don't even know the number count.
Hiking video. You're in the 400s, and I'm about 260 or 70. And
like, yeah, that's okay.
They're good videos, and I hope they pick up steam later. But I thought about.
Sorry, hold on real quick. Go ahead. I was trying to keep up with the chat, and I'm having a hard time. So go ahead.
I mispronounced alum 3 out of 5 times.
How am I saying it? Am I right, alum?
You're saying it right. It's alum. I said alum 3 times, and I said
I think I said alum too. I think I did that too.
And I'm waiting to get roasted on that, and I've welcomed that type of feedback. We don't always get those things perfectly.
No, I mispronounce things all the time.
Similar. But yeah, I really hope that people are able to see this and enjoy it with us, because despite not summiting, despite violating core know your trail principles, that's a little bit statement. But we had a great time. I mean, it was amazing.
Well, that's what I was getting to, though, is it almost sounded like I'm going to lose my Smoky Mountain hiking buddy that you're going to bail on the duo here.
Oh, no.
Because I'm telling you, a month from now, we need to be at Mount Geo. I'm just saying. And it's not even about summiting that mountain. There's like 4 or 6K mountains around there, and we could truly peak bag.
Let's talk about
weekend
trips.
Yeah, they're fun. Gosh, they're great.
They are fun. I had a comment on another platform recently on what kind of job do you have that allows you to travel so much? Well, almost all of my adventures are 3 or 4 day weekends. And you will be shocked. Bill, you get in your car and you go.
We get this all the time.
What you can do if you are willing to, take a Friday, Saturday, and part of a Sunday and just get out there. It costs you a couple tanks of gas.
Maybe.
If you want to be luxurious, you can get a hotel overnight somewhere. I hardly.
That's rare, though. That's rare. You don't do it all the time.
So it looks like from the outside that neither one of us even have jobs sometimes, and we just travel and do YouTube for a living. That's the furthest thing from the truth.
I work very, very hard.
I work a lot of hours.
I work a lot of hours.
A lot of hours. Like, we have family of obligations. We're members of the community, but you make time for what's important.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier the kind of the storytelling. I really pay attention to the brown signs on the side of roads now. You know what I'm talking about? Points of interest.
The points of interest. Okay, yeah.
There's a park here. There's a monument here. There's a memorial here.
Something
it gets me off brand sometimes. I'll be hiking one day, and then I'll be at a library, Billy Graham Library, or I'll be posting a picture of a local courthouse just because I think the architecture is cool. So, from a pure how should you grow YouTube standpoint, I'm all over the board. I don't care. I have natural curiosity again.
I think that's what makes YouTube awesome, or YouTube creators that are doing what they love. I want you to talk about this, though, because it's so awesome. You're in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
You're there with your wife, who's at a conference, right?
Yeah, work conference.
And while you're there, you could have vegged out at the hotel room, flipping channels, hanging out at the pool.
I had 10 hours a day in a 4-star
Billy
hotel.
Graham, man of God, led thousands of people to Christ, tens of thousands of people.
Millions.
Millions. From what I understand, he may have led, I don't know how they use their terminology, whether it's confirmation or whatever, but he really helped Queen Elizabeth, from what I've been told. Now, I may have that story wrong. It was something that my dad was talking about, and Carolyn, and I don't know the exact story, but this guy was a man of God to the nations. You could have sat in the hotel. Instead, you grab your camera and you do a walkthrough. Yeah. What did you spend? An hour there? 2 hours?
About an hour.
And then you probably spend a couple hours editing. So 3 hours, instead of watching TV, you went to be with your wife, to spend time with her, and she's at the conference, and then she comes back and it's you and her. And 3 hours at some point, by the time it's done and edited and uploaded and all that stuff, and you've got a video for people to enjoy who maybe know Billy Graham, or you're telling him about him for the first time, a different generation, whatever. Anybody can do that.
Yeah.
But this is the comment. It must be nice to have a job where you can just run around. That comment.
I don't know. Have you gotten that comment?
Oh, many times. Back in the day, especially. Not as much now.
Okay. I didn't feel the intent. I felt my comment was more inquisitive.
No, this one was, it wasn't just one. It was a season where but that you would see that across YouTube a lot back then. I think people get it now. And I'll give you an example. I got a video coming out Tuesday about the Tennessee Aquarium.
Okay.
We had some of our friends who have actually been on our channel before. We've made videos where they're in the videos before. And they drove down to visit us because we're very close. They're such good people. Just great, great Christian loving people. And they came to church with us. And so the next day it's time to play. Like I'm with, we went
to
work
play. Sundays, Monday's your day off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not here as much, here, but I had to actually take time. Yeah. Well, I had to take time off for this. Yeah. So we go to the Tennessee Aquarium, which I've been to 50 times, but I've never made a video there.
Really?
So I grabbed the camera. I got great shots. I'm not going to do a deep dive into the Tennessee Aquarium. I need more time there to do that. Because I was with them.
We have a behind the scenes guy that if you're interested, we could probably pull that lever.
Are you serious?
100%.
Okay. That sounds like an awesome video. Why? You should pull that trigger.
Okay.
If you've got that connection, you need to do it.
Yeah.
That is a million view video. That is a million view video. I'm telling you. But there it is. You're using things that you would already use. And so last night when I started the video, I actually thought about this topic. I'm like, how many people right now are playing our age? I'm 51.
Yeah.
You're 25 or whatever you are.
I'm 30. Thanks, though.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know how that works with my children being the age they are, but anyway.
I have grandchildren and you have kids in college. So let's do the math here. But that's my point. It's you could be playing video games, and a lot of young men and young women, they're doing that. Crossword puzzles, flipping channels, getting involved with the latest Netflix binge.
Netflix binging, yeah.
All good things. Listen, I'm not putting those things down as a crime. I just think there is something about taking that time. And I learned this working with you in a corporation that you weren't a peon like I was. You were an awesome upper level executive guy walking around. But I learned that when I got home, I didn't want to waste that time. You're working hard all day. I didn't want to waste that time just vegging out. I'm not saying that rest isn't important. Rest is important. Yeah. Letting your mind rest is important. But man, it just so much can happen in that 4 or 5 hours that you're home. I don't mean to ramble about this, but this is one of those things I want to talk about all the time.
It's a great subject. I mean, my typical Saturday or sometimes when I take a Friday off, way before sunrise.
Yeah.
You know, I've very consistent on what I have for breakfast every morning with a couple of variations. In the car, I've planned if I'm driving an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, wherever I'm going, and there's sunrise. And have a fabulous time, and I'm usually home by 1 or 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I have the rest of the day to take care of my responsibilities, family. You know, I do resist the urge to start digging into footage and editing right away. It's such a temptation. It is a draw because we both enjoy that part of it. But there are ways to make this happen.
The more you edit, the better you get, the faster.
Yeah.
And then you're bending it for creativity.
Right.
Like you want it to do something, or you want to be funny about something, and you shot it a certain way and whatever. But if you're just trying to convey the meaning of the images and just trying to share with the world the experience that you had, it doesn't take long to learn that. It just doesn't. I've watched you over 4 years now, 5, 4.
It's been 4+. I'm kind of bending the other way a little bit now.
How so?
One of my favorite videos I ever made, and if I don't surpass the beauty of this video, I'll be okay. It was Savage Falls Frozen.
Savage Falls Frozen. Oh, that was awesome.
2.5 years ago. It had the tightest cuts.
It was sharp. It was sharp.
It had one of the highest production qualities I've ever done, and it's great. I'm proud of it. But now I'm loosening up on that a little bit. I'm letting people bathe and immerse a little bit more. I had a theory, and it's probably correct, that if you're not changing scenes every 3 to 5 seconds, that's true. You're going to lose people. And I don't know that that's true anymore.
Well, here's what I'd say. I think that YouTubers are having to think more like directors now. And what do I know? I've got 17, almost 18,000 subscribers. I'm not an expert, but I watch a lot of YouTube to study, not even to veg out, to study what the good creators are doing. I think you're having to think of again, I'm always going to lean into the story aspect of it, where if you're trying to build up anticipation, you want the shot to stretch out, or if you're really wanting to invite them in, there are certain techniques and long shots, long takes that I think really pull people in. I think it just depends. I think there are moments that need to be quick. The intro, probably 3 to 5 seconds. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
boom,
I spend more time on my intro than almost my entire video.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying that makes something. I think you just hold them longer. That's all. Front load your best images, in your intro, your best shots right there. Show them again later. Later. In the sequence of the story, but there at the opening, you want to say, this is what you're in for. This is the kind of video it is. And
you taught me that. And that's something that I had to learn kind of the hard way. Some of the early stuff, I thought, wait till you get to the very end.
Me too. I did it too.
What I have discovered, and this is just where I am now, it may change in 3 months. A couple of things are true. The average demographic for my channel is over 65. And if you get to over 55, it's really heavy. An ever-increasing percentage of those watch it on their television.
Which is strange that has changed in the past few years, Toby.
And I have started getting more and more regular comments about people who used to be able to do what you and I enjoyed a few weeks ago and are not able to do it anymore. And if you can provide that kind of value to people, they'll watch everything you make. You may not have as broad of an audience as some channels, but it's really able to provide value and share something that I enjoy doing in a way that I enjoy doing it. Again, that's where I am.
That's good. That's good. No, that's good.
It's probably not any kind of strategy on how to grow the fastest.
No,
I mean, I just dropped the.
But there's something special about it, man.
Yeah.
See, back when you first started, Carol and I had finished a season of YouTube where we drew the closest community that we had ever had. And you remember those live streams with Vlogmas,
every night.
Whatever. Then we would do during Vlogmas, man, it was like from Thanksgiving to Christmas.
Yeah.
And we would average like 35 people But from our channel, like I don't know, what do we got on here right now? 2, 3 people. And is that counting us? I don't know. Does that count?
No,
I don't know how it works. Live streaming is hard.
Streaming is real hard.
It's very hard. And the trick to it is consistency, which you and I are not consistent. No. And I keep wanting to, like I'm going to do it. And you get life, and so the commitment level is obviously higher, when it comes to live streaming. I've got a plan I'll talk to you about later. I'd like to look into studying, but that's not the point. The point is that during that time period, we still weren't killing it on views. We had a couple of great videos that kind of put us on a map, that partnered us, maybe 5 of those, but we had gone through the 2020 stint, where travel channels, nature channels just took a dive. Because they didn't want everybody out traveling, and you were going to get 2020 if you were in the mountains somewhere with fresh air. It makes no sense.
With nobody else around.
The virus that hit our minds with fear is just incredible to me, because it really hurt our channel. But during that time period, there was about 150 people in all that watched every video, that got the inside jokes. And I mean, I focused on them. That was, because I was a full-time pastor then, full-time pastor now, but in a different position. And that my mindset is okay, this is a flock. I know this sounds crazy because it's a YouTube channel, but in my mind, that's just how I looked at it. We started getting away from that when I noticed that our facts videos started outperforming everything. And facts videos are all voiceover.
Wow.
Yeah. And suddenly, let's be honest, the income shot up.
Yeah.
And I started chasing that dollar because it's fun. It really is. But I lost that.
Yeah.
And I mourn the loss of that. And I know people like Tim Cook, he's a political commentator and whatnot. What he would do in that situation, just watching how he's developed his channel, is he would continue to do the thing that's pulling people in. But then he kept doing the things with his inner circle. And again, I don't know if you know Tim is, but he's a big time YouTuber. And I can't remember their name, but I'm drawing a blank now on his last name. What is his name? Not Ben Stiller. That's what I keep wanting to say. A political commentator. But I watched these other YouTubers and what's that?
No, I don't know. Anyway,
it doesn't matter. The point is I've watched these other YouTubers be able to maintain both, but this is all they do. YouTube is not my life. It just can't. Listen, maybe in a different path, in a different universe, I don't believe in that stuff, but you know what I'm saying? That you and I both, we do this 40, 60 hours a week and we're loving it. Hey, Waldo.
Hey, Walter.
He was a part of that group.
Yes,
Waldo
he was. Yeah, Walter remembers
great.
Vlogmas, I'm sure. He was a regular contributor to your channel.
He's my West Virginia buddy, man. And his stuff, like I watched his train video the other day. But if you're watching this in the replay or tonight, check out his channel.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's a simple channel. But if you want to know West Virginia, like just a normal, not the national park side of it, just West Virginia, he's going to take you there. It's really good. Just got back from filming.
Yeah, to see. So he just got through filming a new episode.
Excellent. And I look forward to watching it. It's a lot of fun. But he was a part of that. And
Walter rebranded a little while back. He changed his channel. Joe, who helped me celebrate 1,000 subscribers, he rebranded. He's now Jay the Motivator.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, a few weeks ago,
you started a trend. You started a trend.
Oh, I jumped on a trend.
I feel like I was in the middle of your zeitgeist change. I feel like I got to be a part of that.
You did, and it feels more authentic. I don't know that it's as catchy, and that's okay because it's more authentic. And I really think the next chapter of YouTube is authenticity. The next chapter of my life is that. So if YouTube doesn't catch up and keep up, that's okay too. But I think authenticity is really important. So, the new, it wasn't much of a change. I was always, hi, I'm Toby, the Kilted Adventurer. Now I'm Toby the Adventurer. I dropped a word. But it's minor, but I've found that words really matter. I don't say I'm Toby the backpacked adventurer, or I'm Toby I'm the
I never thought of that.
Boots wearing adventurer, or it was catchy. But it's just part of what the channel offers. And I like making the facts videos sometimes. those perform extraordinarily well. It kind of irritates me.
It does me. You know my opinion. It got so bad that when we were on the phone, it was January of 2022, I think, and I'm making the second Appalachian Facts video, which was really a tongue-in-cheek video. It's factual, but really tongue-in-cheek, making fun of the other video and the comments. Not really making fun of them, just laughing with them.
Yeah, a little satire.
Yeah, because of how, I mean, again, that video was factual, everything that was stated in there, but to show people how facts videos aren't necessarily facts. There's perspective involved there. Some of it's clickbaitish. You know, we talked about the aquarium there. The number, it's the best aquarium in the U.S. Says who? Well, there was this article. And then you find out there's these commercial ties to the article. And you're like, wait a minute. It's not really the best by anybody. You know, which mountain is higher?
Well, those videos are all about the editing and if it happens to catch the SEO's attention.
Sure. Sure.
You know, I've got Bill Street. I'm 1 or 2 there. I've got Vanderbilt University, believe it or not. I'm in the top 3 there.
Really?
Watts Bar Dam.
Okay, but that is a major, I will say that is a major, you need to do this. Rent a pontoon out there. You're going to have to drop a few $100s, rent it for the day. The reason why, it's a great bass. If you fish bass tournaments, and I used to live on that lake, especially when I lived in Kentucky, we would drive down to Watts Bar and fish tournaments. And so there are people, it's like the Chickamauga. How many thousand video used is the Chickamauga one? Because it's the #1 bass reservoir in the U.S. now. You know, it's where major tournaments are fished here at Chickamauga, Watts Bar. This whole stretch is a premier bass fishing area now. So you throw up a video about Watts Bar, you're going to get clicks because you got bass fishermen that they want to know about the lakes. You know,
it keeps producing.
Yeah.
Middle Tennessee State University. I made that with my phone. I had done 2 campus tours, you know, and had the whole walkthrough with both my kids. Thought about going there, so I knew the facts per their. You teach Chattanooga. Yeah, so I mean, none of that has to do with the kilt. Traveling.
I said this when we were in the Smokies. You are so much more than the kilt. The kilt was niche. If you want to own that and pursue owning Kilt Inc., whatever that is, you know what I'm saying? Like if you want to be a part of that group and you're appealing to that group, but your channel offers so much more than kilts. And it's not that the kilt's a bad thing. It's just not what the channel's about. It's about an adventure.
Great thumbnails.
Sure. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's very consistent short views anytime I, do that. And okay. I mean, I'm wearing it, whether I've got a camera or not. It's not unauthentic.
Right. But isn't it? But here's the thing. If you're Toby the Adventurer and you're wearing the kilt, well, there's your good thumbnail, right? You still got the thumbnail, but the video isn't about kilts, and there's not a level of, the kilt experts out there, the but actually of kilts.
The but actuallys.
Yeah, they don't jump on there and start trying to correct information, or you're tied into an algorithm that's pushing kilt people towards your video, but it may be competitive in that area. I think in the next 6 months, which I've said this before, now that you've rebranded, I think you've got much more potential of hitting the algorithm and getting a wider audience. I'm convinced of that.
Well, I'm doing the 4,000 watch hour challenge. That equates to 333 hours a month. I won't say it's because of the branding change, but along that timeline, I have gone from 300 hours a month to about 400 hours a month of watch time. That's 10 months to hit 4,000. I would love to do it before then. But the channel has not suffered. That's what I'm trying to convey as a result of the change. I did make an explanation video. I left it pinned at the top of everybody's feed if they went to my channel for about a month. I pulled that down. That was kind of clickbaity. So goodbye, the final chapter of the Kilted Adventurer. It got,
I loved it.
Purpose.
That's you. People know. I mean, it's a part of the shtick, right?
Yeah.
But I don't
know. I hope you're right. Again, if not, that's fine. I should be able to go to the Billy Graham Library or our adventure in the Smokies where we couldn't hardly walk.
Or Mount Geo.
Not worry about not wearing a kilt.
Or Mount Geo.
Or Mount
next
Geo.
month. Next month. Come on, commit, Toby. Step out in faith right now and say, "I'm with you." Come on, right now in front of your viewers.
I got 2 trips in April, Bill.
That's ridiculous.
I'm going to Myrtle Beach.
I'm going to the beach.
That's
I'm
a
going
work
to the
trip.
beach too. I'm going to Cocoa Beach in
Conference
April.
Center is right on the beach, so I'll take pictures of the ocean.
I'm going to Cocoa Beach to surf. Surfish. It's close to surf. I don't know if it's called surfing when I'm doing it. I think it's called something else, like falling, drowning even. But I'm going for what, 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 nights, 4, I don't know. And then I'm coming back and we're hiking Mount Geo. Commit right now. I'm sending over the documents for you to commit right now in front of your. Let's see. Commit right now in front of the 4 viewers that are on here right now.
Yep.
No. Or are we gonna have to wait till May? Is that what you're telling me?
I don't know. I am going to Denver the week after.
You're killing me,
Myrtle
man.
Beach. I don't know what to do in April in Denver.
Where are you going in Denver?
No good. Well, the home base is Denver.
Okay.
I don't have an agenda yet. I've thought about hot springs.
Wait a minute. Go to Garden of the Gods and hike Garden of the Gods.
Is it passable in April?
Yeah, you're good. You're fine. I'm just trying to think of how far that is from Denver.
Is it? We talked about fitness levels earlier. My host isn't used to hiking like we are.
Garden of the Gods is it's a city park officially. It's a neat story. Go check out my video. Remember Anna? Do you remember the story? Anna was going to elope. Her and Oz, Oz. You and Oz have hiked together. He's a great guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we didn't know him. They went to school together, and she's wanted to elope. And Carolyn and I, and Nathan, and Crystal, we flew out there, and his parents, and we had a big wedding there at Estes Park, which is, Rocky Mountain. Was it Rocky Mountain?
He's from there.
No, he had moved out there to work. He moved out there to help run some cabins and maintain, maintenance stuff. He was trying to find himself, really. And when him and Anna started talking online, and he had told her, I hate telling their story. They're going to kill me. But he had told her in high school, this is the most romantic. I'm old school, man. I think of these things. And I vaguely remember her telling us this. But it's a part of their love story that he said, I'm going to marry you one day. Mm. And she giggled and looked at him and she said, I'm dating somebody. We've been dating for like 5 years. We're going to get married. Whatever it was. I don't know. And he went, yeah, whatever. I'm going to marry you one day. Mm. We're going to have kids together. And the power of the tongue is just amazing, that what you speak is so important, which is why we're going to Mount Geo, Toby. Listen, I'm going to keep coming back to that. June?
We can hike we can take a chest full of food with us, right?
Listen, I'm going to tell you, if we want to do that and find a place there in the Smokies and get the hammock thing and just do build the fire, and got to go to an area that you're allowed to do that in or whatever, and really enjoy it, we can do that. And it doesn't even have to be as serious of a hike. And there are areas you can do that. And it's still beautiful. And
I'm 100% down for an adventure. Here's why I ask. And I've never, Fort O.
What up?
Fort Oglethorpe?
Bill Vall.
Oh.
All right. Welcome.
Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia. Welcome.
That's what I'm talking about. So, yeah. So
I've never talked about this on the channel at all. I did make a video 2 years ago called Kilted Warrior in the Rain, and it was a sword routine. But I didn't give any context for it. It went great. It was okay. You know what that was? That was practice for a routine I did for the Fit Expo. So I'm probably going to do that again this year, Bill. I haven't told you that yet. I've got to make a decision in the next week and a half. That'll involve about a 12-week cut.
Wow.
So endurance will be low, calories will be low.
Really?
I'm all down for an adventure, but where I am right now, it would require losing about 15 pounds.
Yeah. So, okay, but what are you trying to say? That would make you'd be able to scoodle poop up the mountain like nothing.
If I have the energy.
Okay.
Hiking got really hard.
Explain this. Explain
well,
that.
when you're eating 1,500 calories and used to eating 2,800, hiking can be a challenge. So we'll have to figure that part of it out.
I'm thinking.
I know I dropped a bomb on you, and I dropped a bomb
you're
on
dropping
everybody,
to
all
1,500 calories.
live stream.
So you're going to go into the negative for 90 days? Is that what you
That's
say?
12 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not necessarily healthy to stay in the negative. I mean, look.
It's not healthy. It's not a healthy activity.
But you can hike like that. You just feed your blood sugar. That's what you would do. 300 calories here, 300 calories there.
Yeah, I would have to get off of the script for one day. That's right.
No, I don't think you would have to. I really don't. I think you could do it. It's just a matter of feeding your blood sugar. You couldn't jump into a hike like that, right?
I mean, last time toward the end, I was at Cedar Falls. Are you familiar with Cedar Falls here in Cumberland?
Sure.
Went to the waterfall. It's amazing. There was more trail. I really wanted to do it. I couldn't. I turned around and went back to the car.
Was it muscle failure? Was it?
I can't explain it. You've been in. I mean, you've been in the Army. You've been through boot camp. So you've been through situations of being deprived. So I can't compare this to that in any way. But it's more. It becomes at the end more psychological or even spiritual than a physical act.
Sure. Okay, let's compare this to Le Conte for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's bring it back to Le Conte.
Sure. It's right behind us.
Thanks for everybody joining.
We're having a blast.
We'll repost some of this later in different formats so that it's not so all over the board.
I enjoy it all over the place. I think viewers do too. I think that's what has helped Joe Rogan, because you mentioned authenticity. We'll come back to Le Conte in a minute, but you mentioned authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
And an authentic conversation is so much better than a scripted one.
Yeah.
And so if you watch Joe Rogan and Donald Trump, I don't know if you watched that or not. I caught a clip, but it was so controversial.
That one. Yeah.
But it broke the internet, and some people argue it's how Trump was able to win by the margin he won. Some people have argued that it was so good. Joe Rogan and his posse, they were at the inauguration.
Oh, wow.
With great seats, because they had the president on, and they didn't there was no script. That was a part of it.
Yeah.
Trump's opponent wanted a script and Joe said, that's not what we do. We just talk. I think that's why he's the number one podcaster. It's just like you said about making videos where you just let the camera go and you capture that moment and you put it on the video, right?
Yeah.
So to me, there's a similarity there. Anyway, at what part on Le Conte, when we were hiking, was there any part other than the ice? We're excluding that nonsense, because that both of us are like rolling our eyes going, whatever, man. It was because it was disappointing, A, and B, like you, I felt like, I don't know, a moron for not knowing. That your core tenant, your principle there. Why didn't we know that? Or
know your trail, know yourself.
Know your trail. And I don't remember seeing anything like that. I'm sure it's right in front of us. But anyway, was there a part at Le Conte where I can't go anymore other than the ice, because that sucked?
No, never.
Yeah, me too. I was ready to, I kept trying to get to the top, but I was going slow. I was like a turtle. I'm going to get there. So we didn't eat anything. I think we had some peanuts. I guarantee you didn't consume 1,500 calories. Okay, those are you mean the good ones you had?
Good ones, yeah. They're very good in calorie and protein.
Yeah, it's like 1,200. I forget, but it's like ungodly high.
Yeah,
but I think you could have done it.
Yeah, I'll just bring one of those with me and throw caution to the wind. We'll do it.
I'm trying to make it so you can.
I won't say this weekend. I did a hike with my buddy Jim, and anybody's watching.
Tell us about that, because that sounded fun.
Pot Point Loop at Prentice Cooper State Forest.
Pot Point
Loop. It's supposed to be 11 miles. We hiked over 14, close to 15.
And that's at Prentice Cooper.
Toward the end, I had a decision to make. Do I just sit down here and spend the entire night? or do I keep hiking and going back to my
Did
car?
you have a West Virginia moment that I had where you lost your?
I had changed my socks once. My toes were blistered. My legs were just screaming at me. Of course, that was, again, not the best decision to do weightlifting 2 days before on my legs. You should do that earlier in the week. Note to self: if you're going to have two main hobbies, weightlifting and hiking, do legs early in the week. But I didn't. So, but the
Okay, I
payoff
don't
was
understand though
incredible.
how Le Conte didn't. You were fine the next day after Le Conte.
I was fine the next day. I went running after a Pot Point loop too the next day. So
But how did that loop kill you when Le Conte did? I don't understand because Prentice
the
Cooper. I know
elevation
Prentice Cooper.
change was similar. I don't know how much did we know. We did about 25 or 2,600 on Le Conte, didn't we?
It's close to 3,000, but it wasn't quite 3,000 yet.
This
It's
weekend
in
was
there.
only 1,400. I don't know. It was really warm. I think that's a part of it. It got up to the 70s, and the sun was beating down on me. So I ended up with the burnt neck and burnt arms.
How about your caloric intake during the day then? What were you?
A lot. Ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, protein bar, all my mixed nuts, 2 apples. I just kept shoveling food. But it was amazing. I'm really looking forward. I shared the pictures on Facebook. I'm really looking forward to putting that video out there. It had way more water than I expected. There was a creek. Incredible. I couldn't even find the name of the creek. It seems to be unnamed. I'll do some more research. The views of the Tennessee River were incredible. The gorge itself won't be visible in a couple weeks for most of that trail because of the spring foliage. Right. Of course, you've got Snooper's Rock, and then you've got whatever that overlook was at the very end. That got a little confusing. There was a sign that said overlook this way. So we went that way. It's old Jeep road. A lot of four-wheeling up on Prentice Cooper. You know that. A lot of Jeeps, a lot of four-wheeling.
I've been four-wheeling on Prentice Cooper.
We take this Jeep road way too far, turn around, come back. And then we noticed the actual overlook spur trail was right beside it. So that added an extra mile. All right.
Junior Foreman, who watches both of our videos. I've got to say this, Junior. I always love your comments.
Nothing's off topic tonight, by the way.
No, yeah, we're just out there. But Junior is going to Denver, right? Sometime this summer, and maybe that's why the comment says 87 days till summer. Because I'm excited about him. I'm like, dude, make a video. Send me your videos. I'll make it for you. Because I love Colorado, man. But it's always good to see Junior. He was a part of that, what we were talking about earlier, where we had a great community going on there for a while. He was a part of that. He's a great guy. But motorcycles.
Hiker hunger is a real thing.
I am curious. Have you ever tried, if you don't mind me asking, like when you experience, I call it muscle failure. You feel like you just can't go anymore. Mm-hmm. Like your legs don't want to go.
Right.
Like if there's a creek there, I don't care how cold it is. I'm taking the socks and the boots off. My legs are getting in that cold water.
Yeah.
That seems to help. Stretching, of course, helps.
I'll get way more than just legs and feet in the water, but you know this.
Yeah, you swim. Man, your videos, it's like you're swimming. If you are near water, but I'm too fat for that. I love the trails. You don't want to see, people don't want to see that, you know? I look like an ogre. I look like Shrek. And I'm afraid I'd get a copyright strike or whatever.
Get you some green paint and you can just jump.
Yeah, I'd be like, whatever. And I don't know. I did the creek dancing thing. That was cute. But my clothes were on, and they're going to stay on.
You're still giving me a hard time about the smiley face I put up when I swim. But, I mean, it's a family channel, Bill.
Yeah, you know what? I know this, that I've been on trails, and listen, I love your wife. Your wife is a saint. I love your whole family. They're amazing. By the way, if you didn't know this, Toby is a family man, and his character is impeccable. And I'm not just saying that. We've been friends 20 years. And he's, I would say, a financial advisor in the sense that I usually run things by him before I do it. It's true. His character is just amazing. So when I say this, I'm saying this, Junior, I hope you're still on here listening to this. This is so funny.
Yeah, he said he's going in August.
He's going to Colorado in August. Excellent. Because I hope he sends me the too hot for that. I'm stealing that one. What does he say? Hard.
Hard.
We're coming off of Seneca Rocks. Both of us had video. No, you weren't. Were you filming? I don't think you were recording.
I was doing interview style content back then.
That's right, with Kurt. And but I was filming, and I made a video with Toby. You can go check it out. Seneca Rocks on my channel. Anyway, we're walking back down the trail, and all these women, young women. I don't mean like weird, stuff. I'm just attractive, wealthy. How do we know they're wealthy? Because of their thoroughbred dogs that they had. Do you remember those dogs? They look like horses on the trail.
Yes.
And they corner him.
Manicured.
Perfectly manicured, and so were the dogs. Anyway, so it's just, it was surreal because I had a moment in my life where the girls and this and that, but it was a moment and it didn't last long. But with Toby, here we are. I'm a middle-aged man. I don't even think in the terms of who's looking at me, and he doesn't either. Toby's a geek. He is. I'm telling you.
I was wearing a kilt.
You're wearing a kilt, yes. And they cornered you. And I was like, they're going to take him back to their village if I don't save him. And I don't know what was going to happen.
Away.
What's that? I did. I had because it was so, and it wasn't just one female. It was a horde of them.
Though. We were so close to the Appalachian Trail, weren't we? Or am I thinking about it?
No, we were okay. It's complicated, but yes, we were too far for that to have influenced. Seneca Rocks is its own thing. Okay. That part of West Virginia, the trail system there is its own thing. It's in some ways it's better than the Appalachian Trail. I still think West Virginia is probably one of the greatest hiking states in the nation, and it's the best kept secret in my opinion. I didn't get to take you where I wanted to. I hate that.
I'm a huge fan of the outdoors, and I love hiking.
I love it all,
but a lot of the people out there aren't 50-year-old guys like we are, Bill.
No, that's true.
Our age, but I mean, it's a very, very eclectic and diverse group.
Yeah.
And that's just wrapping in with the story you just told. It's a very eclectic group, and some of the things that are said and suggested, and they don't shock me anymore. I've been around the globe too many times. It's like, no, either.
The culture, there is a hiking culture.
Yes.
Some of it's regional, but let's just filter that out, the regional stuff.
Okay.
There is a hiking culture. There's etiquette. There's slang. They have their own, they have their own professional journals, whatever. They go to their own schools. I do not fit in with that culture. I don't try to, but they watch my videos.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In other words, and again, I love making informative videos.
There's a local women's hiking group that hikes in North Georgia. And one of the greatest compliments I was ever paid. I don't get down to Georgia a lot, but I was on one of the, what's that park down there that's on Lookout Mountain in Georgia, and it's got the waterfall.
Cloud Canyon? No.
Yeah, Cloudland Canyon. Thank you. One of those trails. And this group of ladies said, we watch your videos before we go take any hike to see what the trail's like.
That
was one of the best compliments I've ever been paid.
And that's what I love about your channel. You own the Cumberland Mountains in Tennessee. You own them. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think your channel's going to explode, is because if I'm going to hike Savage Gulch, for instance, I'm going to watch your videos first because I know you've probably been to where I'm going.
Yeah.
I don't hike the Cumberlands. It's really because we just moved back, 18 months ago? So I'm still settling. Carolyn and I talked about that today. Oops, we don't have a florist yet. We ordered mom flowers. The online thing screwed it up because we moved back and things are different. Things have changed, over the 6 years we were gone. So getting to the Cumberland Mountains just hasn't happened yet for whatever reason. But I'm going to watch because you've probably been to where I'm going. And so I can imagine everybody. The problem is that area, though, the population density is low.
Yeah.
It's not even as high as it is in the same, 200 square miles. If you move that up to West Virginia into the Alleghenies, your population density, I think, in certain areas of Virginia would be higher. I don't know that to be a fact, but I think it's just so many people have moved out of the Cumberland region. A lot of poverty now, a lot of,
No, it's true. I mean, you go to some of the
difficult.
towns and you look at the businesses that are there, and you understand the socioeconomic reality of the region, and that's just the way it is. And then you talk about the Smokies. I mean, I've now made 3 videos in the Smokies, and I'm not going to become the Smokies guy.
No,
But the
we're going to hype
popularity of those
Geo.
videos and the views and it's totally night and day from the Cumberlands, and that's okay.
But Big South Fork, we've got to make happen, even if it's a day hike. We've got to make that happen because, Toby, that is an area of the Cumberlands that is well loved by a lot of people from Nashville, Knoxville, Asheville. It is this weird place. There's a place in West Virginia, the line there called Burke's Garden. That's very similar, in my opinion. Burke's Garden's a little neater as far as just the dynamics, but you have 2 different sub-ranges that kind of collide at Big South Fork. So there's dynamics going on with boulders and cliffs and rocks that are, when you think that East Tennessee, which that is not technically East Tennessee, but when you think Tennessee mountains, when you think Tennessee mountains, you're thinking the Smokies, and you picture Cumberland Falls in the Cumberlands. But a lot of people aren't even aware that Big South Fork looks like out west, but with trees. It has this crazy dynamic to it. It's not that the elevation is so great. It's that the canyons are so deep, if that makes sense. I'm watching it. There's a channel on YouTube that I watch. Can't remember the name of it, or I'd plug them right now. You know, I give them the great channel, kind of like yours, kind of like mine, where they're not trying to get 1 million views. They're having fun.
Yeah.
And it comes through, but they capture some great video. Their videos are just, I'm watching it just grow. Big South Fork, and I'm seeing other channels covering it. So the word is getting out about this very unique place in Tennessee that is, again, I don't know the geology well enough to try to explain it, but you got a collision going on there that's creating dynamics that are very, very unique. Great fishing opportunities and everything else. I've got to make that happen this year. I've been putting it off for years, but I'm dying to. There's arches there. There's some dynamics that would remind you of the Smokies, but you're not going to get an alpine tree line, you know, like you do in the Smokies, which I love. My favorite part of it, probably. How did you like that in the Smokies? What was your, you know, you're above 5,800 feet, 5,500 feet right there, and it turns. It's alpine. It's what do they call it? Like the Canadian boreal forest, or boreal, however you say that.
It was definitely different than, you know, being at a couple thousand feet at a tall mountain around here.
Sure.
The elevation didn't bother me.
No, it did me at first.
I remember last time I went to Denver, just taking my morning walk and breathing heavy, and I thought, what is going on? I walked.
Oh, that's different.
But then I realized I was in the Mile High City, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have any oxygen problems, so I don't know. It was pretty good. Let's see. Uniform and Lonesome Appalachian Mountains. Oh, yeah. One state that isn't on his list, and I did want to just get your thoughts on this, Bill, because I used to spend quite a few trips up there, and I've never made a video. Kentucky.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great discussion.
There's some things there that.
Yep. And there's 2. Boring. Yes. Because you're looking more at Daniel Boone National Forest area, right? Okay. And which is awesome. There are aspects there that are awesome. To the east in Kentucky, Harlan County, which is famous for coal mine wars and things like that. Clay County, Kentucky. I lived in Kentucky, sort of, because I was in the military for most of that time. So I went to college there, but just kind of set up shop there for 9 years, you know. And so I fell in love with it. The people there are amazing. They're just wonderful. Salt of the earth people. And the mountains there, Pike Mountain, is it Pike Mountain? It's like this huge ridge line that goes for forever, like all the way through East Kentucky up into Pikeville. And then you have the spurs that go off to the side of it, and you have these little state parks there. There's bear, just like there are bear in the Smoky Mountains and things like that. Of course, there's elk that they've reintroduced into Clay County.
That's The western elk. It's not the indigenous eastern elk.
No. Right? None of the elk are indigenous here that we have here. The last one was killed in West Virginia in whatever. But it was like by the remember where we went in West Virginia where the cave was?
Mm-hmm.
That's where the last elk was killed.
Okay.
And so all the elk here now have been, but they are thriving. Yeah. They are thriving. So you got Alabama elk, you've got Cherokee, North Carolina elk, which everybody and their mother has seen over in Cades Cove, but the national park says they're still not there. They probably are. All along the Blue Ridge Parkway in that area around Cataloochee Mountain, there's elk. So and then into Kentucky, you've got elk expanding there. I would say within 25 or 30 years, elk are going to be not as common as deer because it takes them a long time, maybe in 100 years as common as deer. But we'll have elk hunts here soon. There's somewhere here in the East that they have elk hunts already. I can't remember, like it's a very limited. Route 23 all the way from Ashland. Ashland's awesome. To the southern border, lots of spurs. Take off of Route 23. Yeah. Junior, do you spend a lot of time, if you don't mind me asking, Junior, in Kentucky? Because I know that route. Ashland, okay, you got Morehead University, Toby, great university. Matt Ballard was their football coach there. He was my football coach at Union. Union College is in Barberville. It's at the very southern part of the southeastern part of the state. Morehead is towards Ashland. Think Ashland Oil Company, same thing. It's to the north, but in the middle of the mountains. So this university, it's like in the mountains. So when you're walking from like the football field, I went to a football camp there, and you walk from the stadium to eat, you're doing this like you're hiking. It was crazy. Huh. It's some major storms up there too, but those areas, and there's great hiking. Why some of that never got turned into a national park, you'll have to ask the coal companies. They ran Kentucky like they ran West Virginia. Okay. Mm-hmm. For the most part, they're gone. So you've got all this area that, whereas in the Cumberlands, you have this big push and some money behind these trails and Cumberland.
But back it up though. We had coal companies.
Not like Kentucky. Yeah, but not like Kentucky.
Well, I understand. But then Bowater came in and harvested the trees and made paper.
But they also planted the trees. I would say they
planted the trees and they made trails, which now are
okay. Because it's a controversial subject, I'm trying to be very, very careful here. I am pro-industry. So I don't want to be misunderstood here, because the national park sells that whole logging is evil and all, but yet they still log and license the, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to get into all that. It's fun, but it's just not, it's not productive. It's not like we're going to make it better or anything. Coal companies were a little different because they were so powerful that there was no stopping the control that they had, especially when you get into the coal camps and how they paid their workers with coal money instead of cash. And this went on for decades. And these little impoverished towns that dot the map all the way through those mountains, especially in Kentucky. It's almost worse than West Virginia. It's incredibly sad. And coal companies fought other industries from moving in. It's not that I think that mining is evil. I don't. We needed coal. We need coal now. It's their practices in the whole making as much money as they could, and that whole labor versus industry struggle that we could talk about till the cows come home. But you don't have the money there now to push the creation of these trails.
Right.
So you don't hear about, I'm sure there's something going on, because these trail groups in West Virginia and trail groups all over, they'll go to a state and start stuff because it's fun. It's fun. It's a part of what they do. So I'm sure something's going on, but the push, Carol and I drove through that same stretch just a few years ago, Junior, 23. And you just don't see it's not like the Cumberlands down here. Mm-hmm. These are the southern Cumberlands. Those are the northern Cumberlands. And so you just don't see that stretch, the Cumberland Mountains, depending on which map you're reading. They're basically the southern Alleghenies, but the geology changes abruptly in West Virginia, which is that place I was talking about earlier, Burke's Garden, that you have this unique situation where it's noticeable. The change becomes noticeable, between the two different features. Anyway, so I think Kentucky, when you're talking about Daniel Boone National Forest, yeah, great opportunities, waterfalls and great trails, amazing trees, because when the coal companies vacated that area, there was nature took over and did a great job. They get great winter, and that keeps down a lot of the invasive species, things like that. I love Kentucky, but if I'm going to go to Kentucky, I'm going to Harlan County because I got some buddies up there. I'm going to call them, hey, where do I go? And you got I fought forest fires over there with the Guard back in 2000. And we climbed one 3,000-foot mountain after another. I mean, and it was so beautiful. And I kept going, why isn't there a park here? There's nothing there for miles and miles and miles. And there's an interstate. It's accessible. Like, what's going on here? You'd have to look at, because the Daniel Boone National Forest is there, but it stretches on into that area as well. It's very huge, but it's not the same thing as a national park. It's very different.
You mentioned state parks.
Yeah.
Why, with my channel being so much smaller than yours, do my state park videos seem to do better, or at least they do very well? They're not particularly great. I'm not talking about the amenities and camping, which people seem to want to watch.
First of all, I don't think my channel is that much bigger than yours. I think we're in the same category as far if you let's say you plot everybody out on YouTube.
Yeah,
you and I are side by side, so it's like you got a great.
You've been doing it longer, and
okay, sure,
funny at it and things like that.
Sure. I've had some state park videos do okay. Burgess Falls.
Yeah.
And I did my video after yours. I haven't looked at it recently, but it didn't perform well. I think it goes along with what you were saying earlier about you've carved yourself out a great region that is, so if you're at a state park in that region, I think you're going to get more views there because that has become your domain, which is so cool. I think there's got to be a benefit to that down the road of being regional. I think there's got to be a benefit.
Yeah, I mean, I try to keep mine very high level, and there's always a trail involved, which is not purely a facts video. I do notice the state park videos that do better have two components. Most of the time, somebody's camping, and I'm not into camping. I'm not interested in camping.
You aren't. You should. Why is that?
I will. It's not an activity I enjoy.
Okay.
And I don't want to get into the reasons why I don't do this on my channel, but the observation I have is these couples channels.
Yeah.
Do really well. An adventure with this person and this person, or travel a camping adventure, or camping with, so it's really, I mean, I know Carolyn's on some of your videos, but it's still Bill Marion. It's not Bill and Carolyn's great adventures.
I'll say this:
channels in the state parks do very well.
She used to be on videos more, and Toby, the comments suggested that you're absolutely right. They enjoyed that aspect of the videos. But again, what did I say earlier? I got away from that type of video and went to informative videos, facts videos, which I enjoy making. Don't get me wrong. But I think you're exactly right. That sometimes it's because the woman's pretty. Okay.
Yeah, and there'll be a thumbnail of her at the state lake with the bikini on. There are channels, and that's fine. I'm not hating it. You use what you have.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that it's gross or something. But
it's well made most of the time, and they're great channels and great videos.
Who would you rather watch on a sitcom? Let's be real for a minute. Let's be real. Here's the thing. That I've been involved with some sort of writing stage, whatever, a long, long time, going back to childhood. And I'm just telling you the fact that you have to come to grips with at some point in your life. Would you rather watch Roseanne Barr or Angelina Jolie on a sitcom?
You throw John Goodman and Roseanne on the same screen.
Come on.
That's funny.
Okay. You're right. That's fun. It's humor. But
what I click on is a thumbnail. Obviously,
that's what I'm saying. I think that plays into a lot of this. Where
I don't know that that's universally fair. At least
you don't think so.
About.
You don't think so?
Well,
maybe I'm going too far with it. By the way,
a lot of YouTube viewers are male. A lot.
What is it? What is it? 70%?
Yeah, it's 70 or 80%, depending on which stats you're looking on what day.
I know that the demographics on my channel. What did I say? What did I say?
Nina Foreman votes for Angelina.
Of course, Angelina.
Of course. You know, I mean, I'm an Angelina fan. I always have been. I don't care about.
She's not as pretty now. She's aged and she's not getting a lot of work done. Older. Yeah, come on. But you can't do that when you're in Hollywood. I hate Hollywood now, and I'm a cinema guy. I love cinema. And that's part of the reason why I got in YouTube, man. Everybody wants to be a director, right? And I'd laugh at that. I'm sorry, but I just movies suck so bad right now that I would rather watch a fat guy and a fat woman on a trail. We saw some. Let's. We've never talked about this yet.
Yeah.
On Le Conte, we're walking up. And we get to Inspiration Point.
Yes.
And there was a nice, very friendly, loving, warm couple who had hiked it many, many times. They knew all about it. They told us about the eyes of Sauron or whatever. and they were right. They were not skinny.
Yeah, they were healthy people from a girth.
They were, let's be honest, they were Oompa Loompa-ish.
Yeah, they were big.
But
they were wearing the trail out.
There were some rocks that were they were having a hard day. Like they would step on the rock and the rock's like, that wasn't cool.
Yeah.
They turned around there, but they'd hiked to the top. They said, what was it? The previous summer?
You can't really tell by face value though. I mean, I used to, and you know this, several years ago. In fact, there's an old t-shirt. I used to run a lot, 5Ks and half marathon one time.
Yeah. You got really into running.
You go to any half marathon and you see everything from somebody who you want to say, please eat a cheeseburger because they're just deathly gaunt and nothing but bones on their skin. And you see a lot of large people and you see everything in between. That's the same way with hiking. We can spend a whole 2 more hours than I have and nobody watches them, but we can talk about health and fitness stuff. But your body gets very accustomed to what activities you do on a regular basis.
How did I do up the hill then? Because I'm not skinny. How did I do? I was slow, but what do you think?
We were both slow. We did 1.1 miles per hour, but we stopped and we filmed a lot, as we discussed as well.
I don't think I had to stop that much. Be honest. I don't care.
No.
Tell the world.
No,
I think it was okay.
We had to stop at Inspiration Point. It was just too beautiful.
Besides that, the other place.
One other place we stopped to eat was under that, was it spruce or pine? That forest that was on the dark side of the mountain, completely covered in ice.
We started hitting the hemlocks. That's when we were above 5,600 feet or whatever. You could see the gap. You could see, and Le Conte was here. We saw the Myrtle Point from there. I found out later we were looking at Myrtle Point. Junior says some with cycling.
Same with cycling.
Same with cycling. Okay.
My wife used to ride a lot. I mean, she would do these ridiculous long rides. She still does triathlons, but
wow,
there's a lot of people that you would not necessarily think are in great fitness condition just by looking at their outside of their body aesthetics. And boy, they can wear it out on a bicycle.
Sure. I've seen some fat people that can ride.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mean that ugly, but I'm just saying, okay, big bone, whatever. But, I'm just pleasantly plumped.
Yeah. Maybe we didn't rest enough on Le Conte. We didn't really take a lunch break.
I didn't want to stop. There was this one point, and I'm trying to remember the location. I know in the video I could show you on the map that I can't pull up.
Right.
Where it was, but long story short, Toby, it was where we had to crawl up the ladder. You couldn't really step it. You had to. Do you remember what I'm talking about? And then it made a sharp turn because I saw these people coming off the sharp turn, and I was like, "Are we really gonna have to?" Like, it just went. You talk about a dog leg, man. I mean, it was just
Some of those stairs were so demotivational just looking at them.
that switchback right there, because I remember looking at you, okay, I got to stop. And you kept saying, you need to stop. You need to drink water, because I wasn't, just to be not being weird or gross. I wasn't peeing. I didn't pee the whole way up there, did I? I don't think I did.
I wasn't measuring, but you didn't drink enough water or eat enough food.
No, but I was motivated. I think, and not that that's justifies that. I think
it wasn't as dangerous as it would be during the summer. That's a great thing about winter hiking I've talked about. I mean, you don't have to carry as much water.
And when you would get out of the sun, who wants to get their hands wet? Because it was so cold.
You pee on yourself?
No, I wasn't talking about that. I'm talking about drinking water. Like,
God, man. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, you know,
self-control.
Hey, at least that'd be warm, right? But you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to stop. And the minute you take that ruck off, and my ruck, I am never. Don't let me wear that again. If you
they were like, "Oh, are y'all hiking for 4 days?" Because we saw your backpack.
I could have gone out and bought one for nothing, and
2 extras here at the house.
I could have done right. You just get in the habit, and you're not thinking about it. I've been meaning to throw that thing away, or just store it.
Yeah,
because it was bought for the purpose of overnight. Hang stuff on it and all that stuff, and because that's what I wanted to get into in Virginia, in West Virginia, but didn't materialize because I work hard. We talked about this earlier. Finding the time to go out and get everything set up. I am making a promise, and I need you to hold me to this, because we hold each other accountable to a lot of things, and we share our dreams and aspirations. I got away from something that I loved when I went to Virginia, because I didn't feel like I had the time. And just like we were talking about earlier, you have time to do what you want to do. You can make time. There's always time. You can find it somewhere until you die. I got away from hunting. I bow hunt. I don't rifle hunt because it's boring for me. Other people, again, not an activist, not putting down other types of hunting. Hunt with a slingshot if you want to. I'm fine with that. But be good, because you know what I'm saying? But I want to get back into hunting, which is hiking with a weapon. Where you can, it really is. I mean, if you're still hunting, then no, it's not like hiking with a weapon. But there's a type of hunting that I want to do that involves more tracking. You need lots of land to do it. In Tennessee, hunting is down across the U.S. big time. So that means that state land is not as packed as it used to be, so that you can get out more and not feel like you're going to get shot with a bow. I bow hunt. So that is the goal this year, is to make that happen. To enjoy that part of my heritage, how I grew up. That was a part of our heritage, part of what we did, and get back into that aspect of nature and outdoors. So you need to help hold me to that. I'd love to make some videos that aren't. There's plenty of videos about the kill, and I love those. I watch them all the time, especially bow hunting, crossbow hunting, fine too. But finding the spot is a part of it. Knowing the animal that you're hunting, all those things are important. It's a lot of fun. But I want the video to try to capture the essence, though, of what it feels like to hunt. And I don't see a lot of videos that capture what I love about hunting. Like, first of all, if you're hunting with your buddies, the camaraderie.
Yeah.
What that is. The joy of being in a stand at 6:40. Junior, I got to say what he said. He said, never seems to be enough time to do the things you want to do once you find it. Just saying. Well, it takes sacrifice, don't it? You do have to make choices.
You got to move things around for sure.
You got to move things around. You have to have a spouse like mine who is amazing. Yours is too, for that matter, in the same way. She's for me. And I'm for her. Like, it's, Carolyn is begging, like, you really need to get back in hunting. And I'm like, will you go with me? Because we talked about this. A part of the reason why you haven't hiked Big South Fork yet is the same reason why I didn't want to hike the Smokies. It's 3 hours away. Who wants to be in a car for 3 hours on the way to the destination or back and be alone and then go hiking alone? Yes, there are some people, I guess, I just want the solace, but it's lonely. I mean, it's so, but no, you're right, Junior. I mean, it's a matter of, once you find whatever it is that you want to do, and you know who you are, that's the other thing. there's got to be compromises. I would say that there's got to be compromises. What I would say is this: most of the people that I talk to, 99% of the people I talk to, it's not really once you start unpeeling their schedule. Because I've done this. I did this the other day at the church with somebody. They complained that, they were just, I don't have time for this and I don't have time for that. And some of it was passive aggressive, but we're sitting there and I started unpeeling their day, and so many things in on their weekend or their day off or whatever. They've got it in their mind it was necessary. Like in here, they had to do that. Well, I have to go over to so-and-so's house because A, B, and C. Like, no, you don't. You're telling yourself that culturally but that isn't important. You can spend time with that person over here. There's choices, and I think sometimes we get culturally forced into a mindset that traps us. Am I crazy, Toby? Is it too far?
No, you're spot on. Walter commented he does most of his hiking trips alone, and I do too. And I think there's a lot of value in that. I mean, even our Savior went to the mountains.
Absolutely,
and along with God.
I guess it's the car ride I'm talking about, though. There and back. The 3 hour, you're 6 hours in a car.
I try not to go more than 2 hours from my home if I'm doing a solo, because the drive there doesn't bother me as much as the drive back. Let's be honest. But you're talking about intentionality and making time to do the things you want to do. The trip to the Smokies was a prime example of that. We have to be intentional with our relationships and making the time, not just with our spouses and not just with our children. And those are very important things to do. But, with other people, we live in probably the loneliest culture in the history of humans. And the happiness index, that has shifted down to the young people. Used to, the way the curve was is young people were the most happy. Middle age, it's hard to do this in the camera. I'm going the wrong way. Middle age is kind of the mid-age crisis, and then older people become happy again, whatever happiness means. And this has been done for 20, 30, 40 years. United States, it's at an all-time low. We've fallen out of the top 10. But young people, and I propose a lot of that is isolation. We have these, and I know they're a tool, and we talked about this some, and it was a fun debate. That makes us feel we're connected, but we're not. Even what you and I are doing here, and this is great, and I'm so happy that we've had some conversation with other people joining in.
Junior,
it's not really authentic connection. It is, but it's not the same as being in person. Am I wrong?
No,
and that goes back to intentionality. You have to do that on purpose, or it won't happen.
They say that you can't have close friends when you get older for that very reason. And I'm like, that's not true. Oh. I want to say something. Junior said this, and it sparked something, Toby. He put, we definitely live and die by our choices and our priorities. What I'm about to say has less to do with that comment, but that comment is what made me think of something else. There are some people, physical limitations will not allow them to do. I want to say 20% maybe. What's that saying? Most statistics are made up right there on the spot. Yeah. I don't know how many, but a lot of my viewers watch my videos, and some of those cross over to your channel because they can't do this anymore, or they've never been able to, but they dream of it and they live through this. So I don't want to be so bold as to say everybody has time or everybody has access. No. I need to make sure that I say that
at all,
because we are, the whole privilege thing is a conversation now, and there is a such thing as privilege. And if you have a healthy body to whatever extent, and you're born able to do certain things, you are obviously privileged over those who were not born able to do the same things. And it's obvious to me.
Right.
So in that regard, Junior talks about that we live and die by our choices and our priorities. I guess, I don't know how you're saying that, Junior, but I would put the and in all caps, like, and our priorities, because that's another thing too. If you're weighing things out, you said something earlier that hit me when I read that comment. We don't do this all the time. We don't go to Le Conte all the time, but it looks like on our channel, because of the way we schedule on both of our channels, that we're just always gone. It's like, it does not work that way. You go through stints and then you plan those videos for that 4-day weekend you took. I can get 7-8 videos out of a 4-day weekend.
Wow.
And you know, you've watched me. I've done that on our adventures. I'm like, I've still got 2 Le Conte videos to make. If I get to it, you know what I'm saying? But they're in the back pocket going, I could do this. I could do this. But it looks like talking about being alone and feeling isolated and how this is bull. This is not a real, I had it out of the frame there. This is not an authentic connection because there's the fallacy around it, right? Wow, Bill is short, fat, and bald, but he gets to travel the world. I want to travel. It's like, no, wait a minute, man. Half the time you're seeing me. The videos we did in Denver is because my daughter got married out there.
Yeah.
I had to go to Denver. Had to borrow a part of the money to go at the time because it was like $6,000 to get the whole family out there or something. And we just didn't have, you know, as pastor in a small church, we just didn't have backup currency at the time. And later that changed, but in that moment, we were as desperate as anybody else, you know, as far as making stuff happen. I guess the point that you and I are both trying to make is to seize the opportunities that you do have.
That's right.
I think that would be, so you're out in Colorado, your oldest daughter is getting married. You weren't expecting this. You didn't even know the young man who I love now, who you know and love now. You know, we love Oz now, but at the time I didn't know him. And you're out there meeting their family. And he is Cuban and Venezuelan, right? Anyway, mom and dad, one's Cuban, his dad's Cuban.
We're all from somewhere.
So, but their whole family is speaking Spanish. They can speak English. And I'm in my own world. I'm like, is this really happening? You know, like, wow.
Yeah.
But the camera's with me. We take a trip to Estes Park, and boom, I'm going to make a video here. Why not? I mean, so I guess it could be argued, Toby, that in that moment I should have been in the moment. What do you think?
I've struggled with that also. Where I have landed, we talked about earlier some of the benefits. So it's created natural curiosity. It has caused me to slow down.
Yeah. Wow, that's good.
I can say with 100% certainty that if I was not doing YouTube, that I would probably have gone to 5 or 10% of the locations that I have. It forces me away from the 5 or 10 most favorite things that I like. You know, I've got 4 or 5 or maybe 6 just incredible, better than most stuff in the Smokies. One of them, hiking trails within 10 minutes of my house, or 15. And I've wore them out. Early in the channel, I wore them out.
That was us in Virginia. We were the same road out, the same trails over and over again.
But you use the things that you have.
Yeah.
And you have those things at your disposal. You know, what's unique to you. I heard that on YouTube. Use what's unique to you. If you've got the great bikini body, use it, right? If you want to. If you've got the Cumberlands 10 minutes up the road,
use the Cumberlands.
Use the Cumberlands. Right. But you talked about being present in the moment, and that's a struggle. I guess we always have to challenge it. But what we get to do, think about Le Conte. We have that. It's ours.
You're right. You're so right.
I will watch your video and mine probably a bunch of times in the future because it's a new favorite memory of mine.
Yeah, so awesome.
Watch all my playlists all the time. I'm not that.
I've watched both of our videos a few times already. You know what I'm saying? We're like,
we have that experience, and if our kids and grandkids, want to think back to Zany Dad or Zany Granddad, and here's something he did, and maybe they'll never watch any of them, and that's okay too. We have them.
You know what? A treasure that I'm going to leave with my kids. And again, it's like you just said. I don't know if they're going to appreciate it or not. It's not necessarily the YouTube thing. So there's 2 things here. First, I'm blessed to have a family that all of my kids took editing in high school. My son, Nathan, who I adore. I love all my kids. Don't get me wrong, but it's not that he taught me how to edit. I had to teach myself how to edit just like you did.
Yeah.
It's that he told me what people do. He pointed out what was happening at the time. This is almost 10 years ago, but it changed jump cuts. Instead of trying to be Rick Steves, I don't know if you know who Rick Steves is, but a public television guy, travels around the world showing different stuff, but it's real old television. It's just television.
Yeah.
And Nathan showed me that that's not what this is. This is different. This is not that. It's faster. It's faster, and basically Dad, try this. Dude, don't hold the phone up so close to your face when you're talking. Those little things.
Yeah.
Anyway, but all of my kids can edit. And so they critique me like hardcore, like bust me out. And I busted out my music the other day. She said, your music is just so as far as that is awesome. But the best part to leave by kids isn't what's on YouTube, because that's not me. We talked about this is more me than the YouTube me. Okay. So even if I'm like, hey, this Bill married no for life, which I don't even do anymore, but that's a character. I'm being me, but I don't go around talking that way.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably as close as people are going to get to me. It's, me, and this isn't even me. But it's right now 3 terabytes of video that doesn't have music. That's Carolyn and I on a trailer in the vehicle on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and we're in the middle of a conversation while I'm filming, which is like that's our style.
Yeah.
And we're talking about our kids, good and bad, where they're messing up at the time, where they're succeeding at the time, drama, family drama, personal victories, and sharing stuff that we couldn't share with them at the time about us. We're talking about serious stuff sometimes. I mean, because we were in the YouTube mode, right? So sometimes she's driving or I'm driving. We've kind of planned out where we're going. So we're on automatic pilot when I'm filming, and I'm still trying to find the shot and all that stuff. But we're in a deep conversation or about the church because, pastoring at the time and, drama's going on there. And so I think about it from my kids' standpoint, in some ways, and it would be a great story. That in itself would be an interesting story, right? Just following those clips of what was going and what you could learn about your parents. I just think if I'm crazy on this, you tell me. I might be insane. But what could you learn about your parents 6-7 seconds at a time? Over the course of now 8 years, 9 years, whatever it's been, 4, 5, 6 seconds at a time, clips. Would you be able to measure growth in your parents? God, I hope so, because Carolyn and I, we work on ourselves with our relationship with Christ. We work on our marriage through our relationship with Christ. Would that come through? You know what I'm saying? But it's theirs, and I've told them about it. I said, it's yours to listen to if you ever have questions, concerns. Who was daddy? Who was mom? Who are they? Maybe that gives you insight that what I say to you may never give insight to. There was a book written in the 1920s that was just checks. It was just checks. You know how you used to write? Nobody uses checks anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the memo, it would tell you what it was for.
What it was for.
And so as you would turn the page, it started where a crib is bought.
You
already get it, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
And as it goes on, he's a young man, and it's his mom and dad's checkings account. And then they deposit into a new checkings account for him. And he's like 16, and you turn them, and all you do is follow the checks, and you learn an immense amount, because, even the Bible says wherever your treasure is, there's your heart.
Yeah.
And so the money that this man is spending is telling you everything about him. And the money that was spent on him is telling you everything about him. It's one of the saddest books I've ever read. I just air quoted here. It's one of the saddest books because you really felt like you had this idea of his life just by what he spent his money on. And so I'm thinking about those clips, those video clips. How much would that tell somebody about you? Gosh, I hope that they would at least see growth. They would see my humanity, that I am not perfect. I hope that they would see humor too. I mean, because, the stuff that we would, it's just you and your wife. So you're going to say stuff around, at least Carolyn. I mean, we're goofy anyway. And so, or would they be disappointed? Would I be embarrassed?
Yeah, there'd be some of all of that.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I cut the sound out of almost our entire hike and had to put
Oh, well, in that case, you would have to. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, you talk about the checkbook. Time is actually our most valuable resource. You can spend money and make more. You can never.
Oh, come on. Talk about that. That's good.
You can never get this moment back.
Wow.
So I think if nothing else, we're chronologically
chronicling.
Yes. Speaking of time, we've been doing 2 hours, so we got to wrap it up soon.
And we've done it so easily. And I'm telling you, we need to do this more often.
We do.
You ready to go to my channel now?
Yeah. We've been chronicling what we did.
Yeah.
Whether it's us in Le Conte. I really enjoyed editing the video after Le Conte, our great Smoky Mountains and Victory. We're just riding around the car looking at stuff. And I say the name of the restaurant wrong, and I put a Batman a thing on there. Like,
yeah.
But at least our kids will know it wasn't boring.
Yeah.
Dad got, what is it? Bilbo or whoever said, you never know what will happen when you put your first foot out the door. I'm butchering the quote, but
but yeah, I
never let it be said that I've got calluses on my backside.
Oh, that needs to be a title to a video or something.
Yeah. So I don't know where that came from or where we're going with that, but
Patton said, General Patton, when he went to, I've got to say, the kid reminds me of that. He said to his troops one time, "Isn't this better than shoveling poop in Oklahoma?" You get it, right? I mean, and I love that. Like, it's the Army, it sucks, and they're in war, but they'd be like, "Isn't this better than that?"
Well, and every job out there, including yours and including mine, we shovel plenty of poop.
Oh man,
we're a living. So why not go to the mountains and get away and take some awesome pictures and share them with others?
Make time for it. Make time for it. Yeah. I mean, I've enjoyed this. This is great. We've got to do this more often.
This has been fun. Thanks for everybody who jumped in. I think
absolutely.
We got probably Walter and Junior Foreman and
Walter, you are awesome. Walter shows up to everything, Toby. He is so into community. Thank you, Walter Jr. If you're still on here, thank you.
Yeah, everybody else who joined earlier and is maybe still on now. Appreciate that. This was fun, Bill.
Absolutely.
We'll do this some more. Live streams aren't my jam, but I like having conversation, and hopefully others will find some value from this as well.
Sure. I may jump on and live stream over on my channel because I didn't put out a video this past week or the week before that. So it's killing me in the algorithm, even though live stream doesn't help. Hey, he's still here. Junior's still here.
I've got 30 more good minutes in me if you want to jump off and do it on yours, or you can just talk to the camera by yourself.
You want to come over to my house? You can come over to my house and we'll come on over.
I'm an old man, so I need a bio break, but let's jump on in a few minutes.
Let's do it. I'll see you over there.
Bye.